Hey guys, it's Enlil553. Welcome back to another Beyblade X unboxing and review. Today we're going to be checking out the next of the Wave 8 starter packs from Hasbro, that being Hurricane and Enlil. Now going over the packaging quickly, as you can see it's the standard Infinity packaging we're used to at this point, with a nice image of Hurricane up front. And on the back of the box it gives you a full breakdown of all the parts you get. So for the blade we of course have the Enlil lock chip, we have the eye overblade which says 9 blade attack, the Hurricane Metal Blade, which says Altering Metal Blades. And then we have the Slash Aux Blade. Ratchet is 755, and then we have the Taper Bit. So let's get into the starter. So here is Hurricane and Enlil out of the packaging. So for the time being, this is a Hasbro exclusive, which is pretty cool. I don't know when Takara will be releasing this, but I would imagine pretty soon. But yeah, there's a lot of parts to go over here. So let's now take a deep dive into all the parts that we get with Hurricane. So first off, we have the Enlil lock chip. So this is your standard CX lock chip, no metal, and it's just right spinning. But love the motif of this gear chip. As you can see, we got the nice Hurricane with the eyes, and we got a hand holding a lightning bolt. I think this looks really cool. This is a very awesome motif. But apart from that, it is your standard CX lock chip. Nothing too fancy here. Next up, we have the eye overblade. So for the time being, we don't know what this blade is called. It's probably going to be something like, I don't know, Inflight or Iris or whatever. But for the time being, we just only know it as eye. So this is a 9-sided overblade. So we have 3 big contact points here, and then we have some smaller blades surrounding it. So a pretty well balanced overblade. This will definitely complement attack type and even balance type combos. But pretty nice looking overblade, and it does work pretty well. It's very well balanced. And really like the motif, it definitely has a very hurricane-y wind kind of look to it. Next up, we have the Hurricane Metal Blade, so obviously the main component that has all the metal. So this has 3 big contact points and then 3 smaller blades on either side. So a very symmetrical blade, and actually a really well balanced blade. When you compare it to other CX blades currently out, this is actually probably one of the best when it comes to balance. Now, it also has a fairly similar shape to the Blitz Metal Blade, but of course it's going to be a little bit more balanced compared to Blitz. But probably the other thing with Hurricane is that it is actually quite a bit lighter than the other CX metal blades out right now. In fact, it's about 3 grams lighter than a lot of the other ones, which isn't the best. It does mean when you're pitting it up with other CX combos, it is going to struggle a little bit. But if you do have this with the metal aux blades and even the metal lock chips, it probably will benefit from using those a lot more compared to other combos, as it might not be as top heavy. Still, a really decent metal blade despite its lightweight, and there's definitely some potential here if you actually are willing to work with it. Next up, we have the Slash Aux Blade. I'm probably the most disappointed with this part out of the whole combo. This is a pretty old Aux Blade we now have, as it has had a few releases since it first came out. I would have liked to have seen a different Aux Blade be included, but it's still a decent Aux Blade. It definitely is a bit outclassed compared to other ones that are out right now, but it can still be useful from time to time, and I do like this new color it's in. But apart from that, kinda wish it was a new different part here. Next up, we have the 755 Ratchet. So yes, it's another simple Ratchet, but it is probably the best of the simple Ratchets you can get, and it is the first release of this in a starter pack too. So 7 treasure points at the 55 height. This, like I said, this is probably one of the best simple ratchets you can use. It is really bulky and works really well with, say, Clock Mirage, but I kind of wish there was a different ratchet included. I think it would have been nicer to see maybe, say, a 160 or a 170. I think those would have been much better options. But even still, it's a decent ratchet to include, but when you just put it on top of all the simple ratchets I've been getting lately, it is getting a little repetitive. Finally, for the bit, we have Taper. Not a bad bit to get here. It has been a little while since we have seen Taper, and we got it in this really nice minty color. I think this will actually look good on the impact rate that came out in the recent random booster. But apart from that, it is a bit we have seen a few times in the past. Still pretty good. It is a little bit outclassed by some other bits nowadays, but it can still be a viable option if you actually find some really good combos for it. With this combination of parts, it makes Hurricane and Enlil a balanced type. So let's now head out to the scales and weigh up all the parts. Alright, let's now do some weights for Hurricane and Enlil. So the taper bit is 2.17. The 755 ratchet, 5.48. The slash aux blade, 4.79. Then the eye overblade, 3.48. And then the CX lock chip for Enlil, 1.76. That's actually a little bit higher than usual. But then the Hurricane metal blade, this one weighs 24.29 grams. So when you compare this to the other metal blades currently out right now, it is quite a bit lighter. The average weight for the metal blades is around 27 grams, with Blitz being the heaviest at 30. So this is about almost 2.5 to 3 grams lighter. That's not necessarily the worst thing, but it can make a difference with certain combos. Now we'll put the whole primary blade together. So with the eye overblade, this primary blade weighs 27.78. So yeah, quite a bit lighter, even a bit lighter compared to other primary blades as well. So let's put the whole blade together. So all together with the stock combo, this blade weighs 34.33 grams. So not the best weight, but it is kind of on that tipping point on being viable. And granted, if you are using a metal lock chip and either the heavy or gravity assist blades, that is going to make a difference on its weight. So let's put the whole combo together. So there's the full combo. So altogether, Hurricane Enlil weighs 41.99 grams. So let's now head out to the stadium and do some test spins and some test battles. Alright, now we're going to do some test spins and some test battles with Hurricane Enlil. So let's try this out. So being on taper, it's going to hit the extreme line a fair bit. But it's going to be interesting to see how this lower weight in the metal blade is going to affect it battle-wise. Like, probably the main thing that will help it is that it may benefit from the metal aux blades and the metal lock chips that are out right now, probably more than other CX blades. But I will say the balance on that's actually not too bad. I think since it's a lot lighter, it seems to be a little bit more balanced. So I guess that's kind of another point in its favor. But we now have a bit of a bigger scale of the weights now, because some metal blades are now weighing 24 grams and they could be as high as 30. But let's now try and see how Hurricane does against some opponents. Not surprising because of this spike. say, despite being in a CX Expand, the balance of it's actually really good. Maybe the lighter weight's probably what's really helping it here. Yeah, I would think for this really to be viable, you definitely want to pair this up with, say, the metal lock chip and metal assist blades. Because it does have the power, but it just needs a little bit more for it to be somewhat useful, even against a stock combo like Brachial Whip. What I was just saying, it does have a bit of kick to it, but you just need a little bit more weight for it to really make those hits a lot more consistent. But I do think there is potential with this Hurricane Blade. Yeah, it just needs, like, when it gets hit, it does get knocked around quite a bit. Like, it just needs a few more grams, but, like I said, I do think there's potential here. But still, not bad. Not bad performance, at least with its stock combo. So that is it for my look at Hurricane Enlil. Not a bad CX Infinity release. I do think there is definitely some potential here. Now, for the eye and the Hurricane Blades, pretty good. I would say there's some potential with the eye overblade with more balanced combos. Hurricane, though, it is a little bit disappointing, though, that it is a little bit lighter, but it can benefit potentially from the metal walk chips and the metal aux blades out right now, so there is some potential for that. I do kind of wish it came with a different assist blade instead of slash. We've had a few releases of that already, so it wouldn't have hurt to have seen a different assist blade. Maybe the same case with the 755, maybe include, say, like 170. I think that would have been interesting. But overall, this is a pretty decent release. It's definitely one of those blades you would need to work with to find a more viable combo, but I definitely do think there is some potential here with this release. So my final thoughts on Hurricane and Enlil are pretty good for the most part. There's definitely some potential with the eye and Hurricane blades. The lock shift looks pretty cool as well. I do kind of wish they had a different assist blade and different ratchet here and there, but overall, this is a pretty decent release. I definitely would recommend picking it up, but I wouldn't say it's a must-have. It could be worthwhile to wait it out for a little bit for a sale, but I definitely can still recommend picking it up if you do spot it at least, but maybe don't make it a priority. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also check out all my other friends' channels in the links in the description below. So until then, I'll see you all in the next video.